Veteran Chicago defense attorney Mea Harper struggles to maintain her crumbling marriage, strained further by her husband Cal's betrayal and the overbearing presence of his mother, Azalea. Tensions reach a boiling point at Azalea's birthday dinner when the family discovers that Ray Hawthorne, Mea's ambitious brother-in-law and a rising assistant district attorney, is set to lead the prosecution in a major murder trial. The defendant? Zire Malloy, a compelling and influential artist whose case threatens to upend everything Mea holds dear. Despite mounting family tensions, Mea finds herself drawn to the case when Zire personally approaches her, pleading his innocence and claiming that Ray's motives are rooted in a long-standing vendetta. The offer sends shockwaves through her inner circle, especially her best friend Charlize, who also happens to be Ray's wife, and Cal, Mea's own husband. Both urge her to refuse, with Cal attempting to outright forbid it. But Mea, standing firm, reminds him of their financial struggles and the fact that he hasn't contributed in over 6 months, ever since his medical license was suspended for showing up to work intoxicated and under the influence. As Mea immerses herself in Zire's case, the evidence presented by the prosecution appears damning. Investigators claim they found excessive blood and skull fragments on one of Zire's paintings, traces that match the DNA of the alleged victim, Heidi. According to the official narrative, Heidi, a Mexican national, vanished without a trace following 6 seemingly idyllic months with Zire. Mea confronts him with a disturbing video of Heidi alleging he was abusive and that she feared for her life. Zire vehemently denies the accusations, insisting the footage is fabricated or taken out of context. Matters are further complicated when Mea learns that Zire had a life insurance policy taken out on Heidi, casting an even darker shadow over his claims of innocence. Zire remains adamant that he's being framed, hinting at concealed agendas and deeper political motives behind the charges. However, he begins to blur professional boundaries, frequently testing Mea's objectivity and threatening her ethical standing as his defense attorney. The pressure intensifies when Ray, Cal, and Azalea stage an unexpected dinner at Mea's home, confronting her with urgent pleas to abandon the case. They argue that representing Zire could bring disgrace to the family, particularly damaging as Ray positions himself for a high-stakes mayoral campaign. Mea is left navigating not only the legal complexities of the trial, but also the mounting emotional and political warfare within her own household. Despite mounting personal and political pressure, Mea's determination to uncover the truth only deepens. The judge allows the unusual dynamic of in-laws opposing each other in court, setting the stage for a volatile legal showdown. Mea dispatches her trusted private investigator, Jimmy, to confront Zire with a hardline interrogation in hopes of exposing inconsistencies. When leads dry up, particularly with Heidi's alleged family in Mexico unreachable, Jimmy travels there himself, only to find an unsettling void. No records, no relatives, no trace of Heidi's past. Back in court, the prosecution leans heavily on shaky evidence, a questionable video of Heidi, and a bitter ex-lover testifying against Zire. Zire explains that Renee, an older gallery owner, was instrumental in launching his career but grew hostile when he ended their relationship. As the pieces fall into place, Mea begins to suspect that the case is less about justice and more about ambition, possibly manipulated by Ray to fuel his political rise. Zire begins to blur the boundaries of his relationship with Mea, pressing her to acknowledge a growing mutual attraction. When she resists, he impulsively fires her, only to return the next day with an apology. Earlier, he had brought her to what he called an underground dance club, later revealed to be a clandestine sex club. As Mea was leaving, she witnessed him having sex with a neighbor in plain view, leaving her rattled. Already emotionally frayed, Mea is further shaken when Jimmy calls to report that Cal has checked into a hotel with one of his exes. Seeking comfort, Mea returns to Zire's and ends up spending the night with him. The following day, Mea meets with Renee and begins to recognize a disturbing pattern. Zire seems to use the same seductive tactics on every woman in his orbit. Furious, she confronts him at his home and confirms her suspicions, discovering his ceiling covered in layered portraits of his past lovers. Disillusioned, she leaves his case files behind and walks away. That evening, Cal and his family confront Mea, and she openly admits to sleeping with Zire. Needing space and clarity, Mea retreats to the Dominican Republic for a short getaway, only to spot Heidi alive. But before she can make contact, Heidi disappears into the crowd. While in the Dominican Republic, Mea receives a call from Ray, who urges her to return to the U.S., promising to involve an investigator in the case. Back at Ray's home, Mea gets a call from Jimmy revealing a major twist. Charlize, Ray's wife and Mea's close friend, had also been involved with Zire. Mea confirms this herself when she discovers one of Zire's signature portraits of Charlize at Ray's house. Soon after, Azalea accidentally breaks Mea's phone, raising suspicions. Confronting Ray, Mea shares Jimmy's final discovery, that Azalea has been faking her cancer diagnosis. Ray admits he's known all along. The entire scheme, Mea realizes, has been orchestrated to propel Ray's mayoral campaign while simultaneously punishing both Zire and Charlize for their betrayal. Charlize is coerced into attacking Mea but instead turns on Azalea. In the struggle, Azalea accidentally kills Charlize by stabbing her. Mea narrowly escapes Ray's pursuit, commandeers a pickup truck, but crashes shortly after. Disoriented and desperate, she makes it onto the highway, where she's picked up by Cal. Assuming he's unaware of the conspiracy, she gets into the car, only to realize he's complicit and just as ruthless as his family. In a final act of defiance, Mea unbuckles Cal's seatbelt and veers the vehicle into the path of an oncoming tractor-trailer. By morning, Ray is arrested after authorities receive damning anonymous evidence, and Zire is released from custody. With justice served but at a heavy cost, Mea quietly distances herself from it all, choosing to walk away, finally done with the corruption that surrounded her. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe.